Welcome to Tutorial 3, Interacting with Smart Contract Functions. In this tutorial, you're going to be using the link APIs to interact with the previously deployed purchasing, custom token, and comments smart contracts. What we're going to begin with today is installing the link JavaScript SDK. Recall that on the link homepage, clicking on the gear icon next to the Code API toggles the client ID and client secret at the bottom of the code editor screen. Clicking on the Code API toggle also displays the available API endpoints. These are some of the endpoints for the purchasing contract. We will use the client ID and client secret credentials to interact with these API endpoints using the link JavaScript SDK. The link JavaScript SDK is available using Yarn or NPM. We will also use a basic Node script to interact with the APIs. To use the link JavaScript SDK with Node, we also need to install the Node Fetch library. At this point, go ahead and install both of those dependencies. Next, let's take a look at interacting with the link APIs. Open tutorial_3/demo/purchasing-demo-script-template.js. Here we have a template script file with several functions that need to be completed. We will go through the process of adding code for a few of these functions. First, let us look at the dependencies and link SDK initialization. The first two lines import our Node Fetch and Link SDK libraries as fetch and link objects respectively. We then initiate the link object by passing in the client ID and client secret, which we get from link at the bottom of the screen. Copy and paste the client ID and client secret of the smart contract that you want to interact with. Please note, because we are using Node, we pass in the fetch object into link to help manage our HTTP requests. Now our project object is correctly initialized and connected with link to make get and post requests with simply project.get and project.post respectively. But please remember, all calls to the API endpoints are asynchronous with JavaScript. Let's begin with add product. Let's take a look at the post add product API endpoint in link. This tells us the request parameters we need to send in the post request and their data type. Our code might look something like this. If you're not familiar with the JavaScript async await syntax, please take a look at some of the links we've provided in the tutorial. Next, let's take a look at the add product quantity function. Recall that our smart contract code for adding quantity looks something like this. And the link API endpoint is. This one should be pretty straightforward, but there is one subtlety that we must factor in. The link API documentation tells us that no response is provided. While this is true for smart contract functions not returning anything, we will still get a response at the HTTP layer. This is important because if the require product.is set requirement fails, we will only see an error at the HTTP level. So our code might look something like this. Now, if the HTTP response object contains an error, at the function level it would be because the require statement failed, which helps provide context for the error handling. Next, let's take a look at the purchase product function. Similar to the add product quantity above, the smart contract code contains a require statement. For the purpose of this demo script, we will fix the purchaser's wallet address to a set address. So our code might look something like this. At this point, go ahead and complete the getProductDetails function, which we will call the getProductList endpoint. Also, complete the getProducts function, which we'll call the getEventsProduct endpoint. Note that since these are events, a list of objects is returned. See the complete code in tutorial 3/demo/purchasing-demo-script.js. Congratulations! Hopefully at this point you have successfully interacted with your purchasing smart contract using the web APIs through Link. In the next tutorial, we will create a few microservices, which will be short, concise JavaScript files, each running one specified service. These microservices will then be used by our front-end e-commerce marketplace app.